Picture this, a quiet, windswept island off the southern coast of Iceland. The year is 1627. Life is harsh but predictable for the people of Vestmannaeyjar, simple fishermen and farmers living off the bounty of the sea and land. But in the early hours of a summer morning, a fleet of foreign ships appeared on the horizon, bringing terror and devastation. This was the beginning of the Turkish Abductions, a raid that would change their lives forever. These raiders were Barbary pirates, a powerful and feared force in the 17th century. Operating from North African cities like Algiers, Tunis and Salé, they preyed on European coasts, capturing thousands to sell as slaves in bustling markets. Their victims came from as far away as Ireland, England and even Iceland, one of the most remote corners of Europe. To the Icelanders, these invaders were known simply as the Turks, though most were from North Africa and the Middle East. At the time, the term Turk was used broadly in Europe to describe Muslims or those associated with the Ottoman Empire, which influenced the Barbary states. The Barbary pirates were led by Murad Reis, a Dutch sailor who had turned pirate after converting to Islam. His knowledge of European waters and his ruthlessness made him a formidable enemy. On July 16, 1627, his fleet arrived at Vestmannaeyjar, a small cluster of islands known for its steep cliffs and rich fishing waters. The people of Vestmannaeyjar had no warning, no defences and no chance to flee. As the pirates stormed the shores, panic erupted, families were dragged from their homes, children screamed, and anyone who resisted was swiftly killed. Murad Reis and his crew showed no mercy. Over 2 days, they captured around 242 people, nearly half of the island's population. The pirates burned homes, stole valuables, and slaughtered livestock, leaving the islands desolate. Among the abducted were fishermen, farmers, women, and even infants. Survivors later described the ordeal with chilling detail. One account tells of a young mother who tried to hide her baby in a pile of seaweed, only to be discovered by a pirate who killed the infant before her eyes. Such brutality left scars that would last for generations. The journey south was nothing short of a nightmare. The Icelanders, used to their cold northern climate, were forced to endure sweltering heat, cramped quarters, and little food or water. For weeks they sailed across the Atlantic, knowing nothing of where they were being taken or what awaited them. When they arrived in Algiers, the captives were herded into the city's infamous slave markets. Families were separated, their fates decided by the highest bidder. Wealthier captives were often sold as household servants, while others were condemned to hard labor in quarries, shipyards, or even on pirate ships. For most, life as a slave was grueling and filled with suffering. Some were forced to convert to Islam, while others clung to their Christian faith in secret. Meanwhile, their families back in Iceland were left to mourn, never knowing whether their loved ones were alive or dead. One of the most famous captives was Gudridur Simonardóttir, later known as Tyrkiagudda. Gudridur spent nearly a decade in captivity, enduring unimaginable hardships. Yet she survived and was eventually ransomed back to Iceland. Her return sparked controversy, as some Icelanders viewed former captives with suspicion, questioning whether they had abandoned their faith. Gudridur's story, intertwined with that of Hallgrímur, became a tale of redemption and resilience. Together they left an indelible mark on Icelandic history. Though the Danish crown, which ruled Iceland at the time, eventually negotiated the release of some captives, the process was slow and costly. Only a small number were ever freed. For most, their lives ended in North Africa, far from the icy shores of their homeland. Letters from captives occasionally reached Iceland, describing their longing to return home. These heart-wrenching accounts became a source of grief and inspiration for Icelanders. The Turkish abductions left a lasting scar on Iceland's collective memory. The raids demonstrated how vulnerable even the most remote communities were to the forces of global conflict in the 17th century. For decades, the fear of another raid haunted Iceland's shores. The events of 1627 inspired songs, stories and legends, keeping the memory of those lost alive in the nation's cultural heritage. Today, Vestmannaeyjar is a place of peace and beauty. But beneath the surface lies a history that speaks of terror, resilience and survival. The Turkish abductions are a reminder of how even the most distant corners of the world are connected through the tides of history. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share for more fascinating stories from history.